Fender Play Live, guys. I'm your host this week, one of your Fender Play instructors, Scott GOLDBAUM. Bear with us as we are trying something brand spanking new by bringing this all to you guys. If you're joining Fender Play Live for the first time, let me tell you a little bit about what we do. We're a weekly live broadcast where we look at all things guitar, whether it's a genre, playing styles, and the artists that define them even. And if you've been with us before, you might notice a different look. I'm coming from my home studio in Los Angeles right now, and we're trying this out remotely, but we're still bringing you some performances. We're talking guitars. We're even bringing you some guests. Plus, as always, we're still carrying the torch, and we're going to be announcing the weekly Fender Play gear giveaway. So stay tuned till the end when Dylan comes out and announces that on Fender's behalf. Today we're talking all about the indie folk genre. It's become hugely popular over the last couple of decades, and the guitar is still right at the center of it. So to help me out, I wanted to bring in one of my closest friends from touring. He's an amazing player, guitarist, producer, songwriter, known for his work with Lord Huron. I met him at a Howard Stern event playing with Joshua Radin. Great work with an amazing songwriter, Greg Laswell. The list just goes on and on. He's one half of the indie folk duo, My Name Is You. Please welcome my buddy Brandon Walters to the show.
Hey man,
we're giving you a
how you doing, Scott?
Man, it's good to see you. How you doing?
It's going good, man. I'm doing well. I'm sorry we can't be in the same place, but I'm good, man. I'm quarantining away.
Yeah, you know, I should have added to your list of qualifications the quarantine beard, the mountain man beard that you've assembled since I've last seen you. It only brings that much more validity.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting, man. The quarantine beard and the indie folk beard are almost indistinguishable. They're basically the same thing. So I'm ready to go.
Yeah, well, it seems like you're really at home with the instrument you have, and it's kind of become a ceremonial question that we've asked to our people who come through here, and it's how long have you been playing guitar for?
Man, so I've been playing guitar for longer than I can remember. I used to get this little plastic guitar microphone set from my parents for Christmas every year, and I would break it by the time February rolled around. They got me a little 3/4-inch guitar, and you know, it hasn't like always been a part of my life, but it's been there in the background, or it hasn't been like the main focus of my life, but it's always been there in the background, and you know, playing in really terrible punk bands all throughout junior high and high school, and then
man,
longer than I can remember is the answer.
That's the rite of passage. And what do you have in your hands today? What are you playing?
Well, funny you should ask. This is the new Fender Acoustasonic Strat. That'll be playing. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's your look.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, man, bitchin'. Yeah, I've got one of the Paramount Parlors in my possession right now that I use a ton for songwriting. It's just a great songwriter's guitar.
Yeah.
And before we jump in, if you guys have any questions, we're going to be talking about a lot of songwriters that are pioneers of the genre. We're kind of crashing today. But if you guys have any questions for Brandon or for myself about all things indie folk, or really just all things music related, feel free in general just to drop them in the comments, and we'll go ahead and address those. I'm getting to know from our producer that we're addressing a couple of delay issues, but we're working on it, so bear with us. If you can hear me double, this might be advantageous because I'm about to play a tune that helps define indie folk. When this song first came out, it was really stripped down. It was really bare. It's from a guy who's certainly been a pioneer of the genre, and that's Bon Iver, and it's Skinny Love. So if for any reason you're hearing this with a delay, assess that just has some character added to the performance. But I'm going to go ahead and start us off with a song that you guys can learn today. Everything you hear today, you're going to be able to learn on Fender Play today too. Here it comes. Come on, skinny love, just last the year. For a little sauce, we were never here. My, my. Staring at the sink of blood and crushed veneer. Tell my love to wreck it all, to cut out all the ropes and let me fall. My, right in this moment, this order's tall. And I told you to be patient, and I told you to be fine. Yeah, I told you to be balanced, I told you to be kind. And in the morning I'll be with you, but it will be a different kind. Yeah, I'll be holding all the tickets, and you'll be owning all the fines. Well, there's a little abbreviated version for you. Oh, okay, good. Way to set the scene, brother. Yeah, there's a little abbreviated version of Bon Iver's Skinny Love. And like I said, I don't know if our feed's better at this moment, but that song has really grown. The artist who's responsible for it, check out his stripped down performance. I can't recommend this one performance of Bon Iver doing this enough. It's Skinny Love by Bon Iver on Jules Holland. And it is, delay's fixed. Enjoy, guys, this is gonna be great. Getting good notes from my producer in real time, guys. So anyway, what I really recommend you all checking out, go to check out on YouTube, Jules Holland, Bon Iver performing this song. It's so stripped down and it's so brilliant. And the way that I just performed it is kind of one and the same in terms of how accessible it is to a beginning player. But one of the things we're going to talk about in good detail today is how indie folk separates itself from folk. And Brandon, I want to talk to you a little bit about your thoughts on this song, on this artist who you've kind of been in similar circles with on the tours that you've done and the sessions you've been in, and just how much this song has kind of catalyzed into so much more experimentation of a standard folk song.
Sure. I mean, if you go and look at the number of people who have covered it, and we've talked a little bit about this, you and me. I feel like there's just so much space there. You can do it like Justin's doing it, like Justin Vernon does it from Bon Iver. You can play it straight the way he's doing it, or you can make your own version. You can just hit one chord and sing a line. It's such a vast ground to mine there. Yeah.
One of the things we'll demonstrate a little bit later is that I don't just have my acoustic guitar, but I'm actually running it through a bunch of pedals. Right. And because with that space, one of the defining sounds is actually integrating more contemporary sounds into your acoustic guitar playing. So if I were to do that with perhaps, like right now I'm running a reverse pedal, a delay, I've got a little bit of chorus and a slight bit of reverb. If you guys can hear that through my mic, it's more cinematic in that way.
In someone's personal point of view, and then blending them with the musical aesthetic of indie rock, which is basically anything. It's like everything like electric guitars would fit into this genre too. I mean, we're not just talking straight acoustic guitars, but like it's just that mashup of like this sort of like folk aesthetic music, like song wise with other elements musically, I guess. That would be my, like, the best way I could describe it.
No, absolutely. It's cool to see that guitar is still at the center of this, but when you integrate all these contemporary sounds, you have something that's kind of indicative of the times in which this is being created.
Right.
So one thing I'll mention is that this seemed to emerge a lot in the 2000s when indie rock artists began to merge those elements of folk into their music. So I think of, like, on one side, there's like tiers within indie folk. I think you've got like Elliott Smith, you've got your band Lord Huron, you've got Sharon Van Etten, Mumford and Sons, yeah. And then you've got like progressive versions of that, like what the Dirty Projectors do with an acoustic guitar, the National. The list is really long, and I think when you're able to blend these elements of indie folk with folk, you're able to get something kind of timeless,
right?
But still kind of future thinking. So one band that really employs a lot of effects and has a very spacious sound is Band of Horses, which is also, for you guys to know, as a band that we cover a lot on Fender Play. This song is really gorgeous. I want Brandon to take a shot at this. It's No One's Gonna Love You by Band of Horses. And why don't you tell us a little bit about what effects you're actually running through your Acoustasonic right now, man?
Yeah, for sure, man. You know, I think for a start, one of my favorite things to do as an acoustic guitar is run it through an amp, just to give it a little bit of dirt. So I'm doing that. Cool. And then on top of that, I love shimmer effects on acoustic guitars. I think they add a nice little bed of sound behind stuff. And then for this song particularly, there's like that. Oh, right. Sorry, I had a little bit of delay. You know, we're using this a little bit of delay on the guitar, a little bit of slapback kind of thing. And then I'm also going to capo this up, because another thing you should also like be aware of when you're working out a song is you don't have to play it in the key that it's written in. You should play it in a place that feels good for you to sing. So here, I'll go ahead and play a little bit of this with all the effects and everything. So, looking like a limb torn up, all together now, and just taken apart. We're reeling through an endless fog. We are the ever-living ghosts of what was, but no one ever gonna love you more than I do. No one's gonna love you more than I do. Someone, they should have warned you. When things start splitting at the seams now, it's tumbling down. Things start splitting at the seams now. Start splitting at the seams now. It's tumbling down hard.
Gorgeous, man. That's what I'm talking
Thanks, man. About. And then just real quick, Scott, I didn't do any of this on that, but this is sort of what I was talking about with some shimmer stuff behind you. You can get a lot of like, you can really fill out a sound.
Yeah, like you said, that bed of sound takes up a lot of space. You know, when I first saw you play, when we first encountered each other on the road, it was that real wild Howard Stern private event that was just wild in and of itself. But you were playing with Joshua Radin, and you've talked in great detail about how you've had to maximize the potential of sound when it's stripped down to like a duo performance.
Sure, sure.
We just had a question that actually that just came in from David Golem. I want to see if you can speak to this a little bit. What's your signal chain for the effects? You got an acoustic preamp first? Are the effects first?
Well,
you have an AV switch?
I'll give you my clean tone first. I'm just kidding. That's for music meme fans. For this, I'm just, there's no acoustic DI or anything. I'm just going straight into a pedal board that I would also use for an electric if I was doing that. There's a reverb pedal. I've got a H9 for the shimmer, delay, and then I've actually got an analog king of tone for just a little bit of crunch on the front.
Oh, nice, yeah.
And then just straight into an amp.
That's great, man. Yeah, even for myself right now, I'm a big fan of just like a little bit of reverse. I think it gives that sort of like Radiohead quality to an otherwise folky arpeggiated sound.
Totally, man.
And then if you want to kick in some more like wetter features, you hit the reverb. And it just kind of lends itself to kind of creating more of a cinematic quality around this genre, this subgenre of indie folk.
Yeah, I want to see if I can. I want to see if I can get to what you were just doing. Let's see, we got some reverse.
Yeah.
There's some shimmer. Yeah. Anyway.
A wall of sound, man. Get lost in it. Guys, we've done our best to talk a little bit about the subgenre that is indie folk. And we mentioned guitar being firmly in the center of this genre and how it tends to combine these elements of folk and indie. So let's dive into that just a little bit deeper. We keep talking about these effects. One of the things that I think has become a cornerstone, in fact, when you're working with Lord Huron, we'll kind of talk more about a particular song down the line, but what are your go-to elements when it comes to effects? Because you have Ben, who's singing his heart out, and you've got a lot of other accompaniment around him. As a guitarist, what are the effects you're leaning into mostly?
Well, you know, that specifically, I'm not on an acoustic as much as like with our mutual friend Joshua Radin. And for a lot of that, we're just divvying up that have been recorded for the record. So in that sense, the guesswork is kind of gone. It's more about we're just trying to faithfully recreate the record aesthetic, and then sometimes add a bit of punch for a live show. But if I'm jumping on and trying to create like a wall of sound, especially like with an acoustic, I'm definitely thinking.
Left off, man.
I think that's actually kind of cool. We should try to loop that. That's really fun.
Yeah, right. Whatever delay we're hearing in our ears, we'll turn that into a sample and create a song out of that.
That'll be great.
But that goes to say, we've talked a great deal about qualities when it comes to the genre. The one thing we're going to be talking about next, guys, so stick around, is real practical, tangible techniques. But first, we're going to go ahead and take a quick break here. We're going to cut to our Fender Insider. Now, this is the fourth and final part of our recurring series called Inspiring Artists, which feature Ali Shaheed Muhammad and Adrian Young talking about artists who have inspired them, who they hope are going to inspire you guys as players. Now, for those not familiar with these guys, they are heavyweights in the music world. Ali Shaheed was part of a little-known group called The Tribe Called Quest, and of course, you've got D'Angelo under his resume, Raphael Sadiq, and Adrian Young is a prolific composer who's worked with the likes of Kendrick Lamar, Ghostface Killah, Common. The list goes on and on. We were fortunate to have them come to our Play studio to let you know some of their unsung bass guitar heroes. So here you have it. Go ahead, give it a look, and we'll see you guys in a little bit with some more techniques on this genre.
What up? My name is Adrian Young. I'm a producer. I'm a composer. I'm just an artist.
And I'm Ali Shaheed Muhammad. I'm a producer, composer, DJ extraordinaire.
And you know why we're here?
Why are we here?
We're supposed to be inspiring artists.
We all talk about how music makes us feel. Feel, but most important factor of music. There's a musician who has inspired me. She has all kinds of feel. As a lyricist and a poet, her songs cut through and talks about love, something that we're all familiar with. I hope you have felt love. And she goes really deep beneath the surface. But not only does her poetry have levels of feeling, as a bass player, her feel is everything. Talking about el cello.
She made me feel special when I used to have dreads. She had that song, really rub my fingers to your dreadlock.
You see what I'm talking about?
That's feeling.
It's feeling, right? Yeah. Seeing Michelle play live, it's so magical.
Absolutely.
To see what she does with that bass, she takes her time. There's such an importance of space. You don't want to play a lot of notes sometimes. The less you play, the bigger the feeling.
It's the power behind that rhythm, how it locks in.
Yeah, I love hearing Michelle play bass. She even takes the feeling to like a next level. Again, creating space and finding these other little quick pockets of notes to fill up the song and to leave space for her words. There's a song called Better by the Pound. Just hearing that title alone, you're like, what's going on? What is she talking about? But she takes this kind of like James Brown sort of funk approach, but then she has this hip hop influence.
The syncopation.
Syncopation of it. She has so much space in it. And so I've been such a huge fan of Michelle's playing. And all of her records are really different. They have soul, jazz, this alternative rock feeling to it. But the one song, Better by the Pound, is straight funk. She'll do a little blues lick like, she'll put a little bend on it. I can't bend it like you, Michelle. See, there's just a little. If you like James Brown, but you want to hear it a little bit different, you want to hear mad poetry, you want to cry sometimes, you want to look up the sky sometimes, you need answers, check out Michelle.
I think we're back. Welcome back, guys. We have a couple questions that have come down the pipeline since we threw to that Fender Play Insider. Brandon, Tom on YouTube, he says, hi, long-time listener, first-time caller. Question for Brandon, what's your favorite guitar? Also, what's for lunch, Brandon?
Well, I think I know the Tom in question. For lunch, I'd love to meet you for tacos, man, but we can't go anywhere. So today I had a cheese plate and some apples.
Oh, man. Sorry, Tom.
I think my favorite guitar might be, it's always the last one you got. So I think it's this boy. Which just happens to be a Fender.
Yeah.
And it's a fun one. So there you go.
Okay, well, we're going to keep this going. Next point, Paul wants to know, and this is something I think everybody should take note of. So what length of beard do I need to have in order to be a legitimate indie folk artist? Now, this is from the chin down.
Yeah. Well, I think it needs, I guess half an inch is probably a good place to start.
Yeah, and I think that there's a variable that if you lose the mustache, you gain half an inch as well. So extra credit points for that.
Yeah.
And here we go. We're going to jump back in with another song, guys, by a man who has one hell of a beard. Remember all these songs you're hearing today, you can learn on Fender Play. And there are lots more killer indie folk tunes on Play as well. These are just a handful we've put together. We actually have a playlist that you guys can check out in the description. Here's one of the bigger names in indie folk, Sam Beam, Iron and Wine. I'll take this one, Brandon. Let me pull up some lyrics here. Now, this song... After this, we're going to talk about some techniques. One of the techniques I want you guys to look for in this is Travis picking. So it sounds a little something like this.
She says, wake up, it's no use pretending. I'll keep stealing, breathing her. Birds are leaving over autumn's ending. One of us will die inside the stars, eyes wide open, naked as we can. One will spread our ashes round the yard.
There's an abbreviated version of a song I love from a band I love. And as I was playing that, Brandon, I was thinking about a really great soundtrack that encompasses so many of the sounds from so many of the artists that we're talking about here, whether we're talking about them directly or in their periphery. I think of like the Garden State soundtrack.
I thought you were talking about Cars 2.
So Cars 2, that predates indie folk actually.
Right.
Yeah. But no, we can reference that. We'll pull that up. We'll see on a lower third here in a second. You're gonna get a link to the entire Cars 2 soundtrack. We'll get that stat. But we're talking about like so many great artists. Carey Brothers, Simon and Garfunkel are on that. And this is like the quintessential soundtrack where I was actually introduced to Iron and Wine. Another great example of a band that like really clings to these great essential timeless elements, but then just has this like little decoration of instrumentation that makes it more contemporary and almost future forward, just like sprinkled in there. So like when you guys hear these indie folk songs, a lot of things can be simplified. You know, you can play a lot of them with open chords. They sound great solo with an ensemble, a lot of finger picking. But one of the things I really want to talk to you about is arranging when you're playing with another person. Like I said, the first time I met you on the road, you were accompanying Josh Radin. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of capo work involved in being a hired gun meant to kind of maximize the potential of two people on stage. So I kind of wanted to break down a couple techniques. For instance, say, dude, I was going to, go back to that Bon Iver chord progression of E minor, maybe to like E minor to G. Yeah. If you're accompanying a songwriter on stage who's fronting their own indie folk band, what goes through your head as some essential tenets in how to accompany them best?
Yeah, I think there's a time and a place for like everybody sitting around the campfire strumming the same chords. But I think in like this context, it's really fun to think about things you can do to augment what someone else is already doing. So for like start, if you were just playing if you're playing E minor and G, I think the first thing I would naturally do is like jump up to a different capo position. So you can play, all these chords that like if for instance, if I capo on the 7th fret, now like a C shape is a G chord and an A minor shape is my E minor. So if you were playing those chords, I would go back to some of these like effecty things, but if you're if you were doing that in strumming, I think the first thing I would think is, okay, let me find something cool to like finger pick up here. So, like down, and find some kind of like melody thing to work around with. Whereas if you were finger picking, I might think more long notes or like textual things. Yeah.
That's one thing I really want to encourage people like to go outside the box when it comes to their application for what they think their indie folk song might sound like once it's produced. Like I keep going back to Bon Iver's first record. And even though there were a lot of elements that were characterized by being stripped down, same with Iron and Wine, like we just demonstrated, I mean, he was taking like an EBow. I don't know if you guys out there have seen these guys. Typically, they're utilized on electric guitars, but one thing you'll hear him do is he'll actually put it where the neck of the guitar meets the sound hole. And right now, if you guys can hear this through my mic, this is purely acoustic as a cool little darker layer. But if I turn my volume pedal on and you're hearing that with all the reverse effects, it's that sort of outside the box thinking that's going to create a real signature sound. The folk is the template, and everything else, I guess, that makes it indie is that ornamentation, that sonic decoration and such. All right, so let's go see what we got here on our script as we move forward. Oh, it looks like, okay, Sarah on YouTube actually just asked a really great question. One of the fundamentals when it comes to folk we keep talking about is finger style and finger picking. So what's a really good way to start picking, and I'm assuming she's referring to fingerstyle. Do you have any insights into that, man?
Oh man, I mean, that's a great question. There's so. I mean, I'm sure Fender Play has a bunch of stuff, but I feel like, oh, I just got a nice little.
Yeah, we're getting a delay again.
Bounce. I don't know, man. There's like where would you start? Like there's I mean, I think just a really basic way to get comfortable with it is just to like arpeggiate open chords.
Yeah.
Honestly, things get you know, a bit more complicated from there, but I think that's like essentially it's all just building from that.
Yeah, I think one of the pieces of advice I might give is if you're trying to get into fingerstyle, take Brandon's idea of beginning to arpeggiate open chords, and I might be as specific as saying pick 4 strings within that chord, assign each one of your fingers to a given string. So say that we're doing a C major to an A minor progression. You just start with real simple quarter notes with your thumb on beat 1, your index on beat 2 playing the D string, middle finger on beat 3 playing the G string, and your ring finger covering the B string on beat 4. So you have this 1, 2, 3, 4 before you change to the A minor and try the same thing. There's a load of Fender Play lessons that really take you from step 1 to step 20, figuratively speaking, that I can't recommend enough. I think we're still getting a delay on one of our, a little bit of feedback if you guys are able to help us with that from afar. But we have one more tune that we have time for here, man. I think it makes sense to check out a tune from the band you've been playing with for how many years now? Have you been a member of the touring ensemble for Lord Huron?
I tour with those folks, and I guess it was 2015. We started playing together. Yeah, and I'll slap some tremolo. I'm just gonna play a tiny bit of this, but go check out my homies Lord Huron. If you get a second, I'm just gonna play this is one of their songs called The Night We Met. I'm just gonna. It's got that deep tremolo. You know.
Yeah, man, that's for those of you who are familiar with that tune, that progression's kind of become iconic. You know what song's coming as soon as you hear it. It's a beautiful song. I think it's wrapped up like nearly 600 million streams on Spotify. It's got a beautiful version where you guys had Lord Huron had Phoebe Bridgers as a part of that as well. Just a really, really gorgeous song. Guys, I can't emphasize this enough. You know, we're doing something we're working super hard to bring this show to you guys from our homes, and we know the vast majority of you guys are in your homes as you're watching this. Every song you're hearing today and the songs that we've made reference to, remember those are on Fender Play, and right now we have 3 months that we're offering to everybody for free to help everybody get through these really challenging and new times.
Oh man, I'm gonna sign up right now.
Yeah, well, I'll give the pitch. You Pat, make it no credit card required. Go ahead and throw in the code they give you. But that goes to say it's a real special time for you guys to kind of sink your teeth into a new instrument. We teach guitar, bass, ukulele, and there's just so much information. For all the questions that have come in here today, a lot of the times I just want to be like, refer to Fender Play, whether it's about finger picking or the size of a man's beard to qualify them as a legitimate indie musician. So remember that you guys have a time right now to take advantage of that. So for all you players watching at home, we're going to give you something that you guys can work on after this show is over to help hone your skills. These are just some simple things to work on, but make sure to check out the playlist link in the description for even more lessons on Fender Play. Brandon, if you get your phone handy, I'd love to see if you could help assign some of the homework. We've got beginners, intermediates, and advanced. And if you've got that ready, what's your call to action for our viewers this week?
Here you go. If you're a beginner, you're going to play the simplified chords to Skinny Love with quarter notes and sing along.
Nice.
So that's beginner. Intermediate is to try the finger picking for Naked As We Came at half speed. That's that Iron and Wine tune that Scott was doing so beautifully. And I just as an aside, I really find slowing stuff down and taking things bit by bit is a great way to like really drive something home and to really like internalize it. So that's great for intermediate. And then advanced, play and sing for us your favorite indie folk song.
Yeah, guys, for everybody who's already a subscriber and has taken advantage of membership, free membership to our Facebook community, you guys are posting all the time. We're going to be talking more about our Facebook community in just a minute here, but we really encourage you. You never know who you're going to be a role model for when you actually post your progress. So we thank you for that. And just wanting to echo Brendan's mention of how well this this genre lends itself to taking things slowly. Songs are all sounding just as beautiful, played with as much time as you need to complete the progression. So take your time with this. Lean into the effects if you've got them. Explore what it's like to plug an acoustic guitar into a delay pedal, and just experiment with arpeggiating the chords, throwing the capo high up on the neck. If you've got an EBO line around, hit me up on the Facebook community and I'll show you some cooler tips and tricks with all that. Brandon, we're so lucky to have had you come through today on the feed. We always like to check in and see what's forthcoming with you. I'm sure you're working on a wealth of music from home. So I'll turn it over to you. Yeah, what else is going on with you? Just tell me more about your original project.
Oh yeah, well I got a band called My Name Is You, and it is it's me and my wife, and we just I mean I think it's probably straight down the middle. I think it would definitely line up in the category indie folk, but that's you know, we both tour with other people, so we haven't made a record in a long time until now, and now we've got nothing to do, but the time is now, so we're working on some stuff too.
Well, that's always something fun to look forward to, man. You've played with some incredible artists. I'm sorry I missed you at the Hollywood Bowl this last year. When Lord Huron and you guys were there, I was touring myself. But between that and Red Rocks, and if you guys want to see more of Brandon in action with bands like Lord Huron, just type in the names of the band. I'm sure you're going to see him on the Late Late shows and KCRW and a wealth of other to watch him in action. Seriously, thank you so much for everything you've done by coming through today, and we'll see you back here at the very end for something. But in the meantime, I'm going to say see you later. Bye, Brandon. Thank you so much. And guys, we're going to give him a round of applause from afar. And as we transition, you may hear some claps from the forthcoming person who's going to join us. Next up, let's go ahead and bring on our community guru and see what's happening in the community this week. Please welcome remotely. Let's hear those claps, I don't know, figuratively, for Dylan. Dylan, what's good, man?
Hey! Oh, how you guys doing?
Good,
it's great to be
how
on.
You doing?
Fantastic, fantastic.
You look clear, you sound great, and what you have in your possession looks killer. What are you playing?
This is a 72 Telly, and it's basically, it's a little bit modified, as you can see. It's got a V-bender on it. It's got some really amazing tones to it. So you can definitely do country with it if you want, or you can kind of chunk out. Let's see. So you can really get kind of down and dirty with this thing, and it's got it. It's a bulky guitar. It feels real good. You know you're playing when you play it. So,
dude, I love it. Well, it's good to have you on because you're a sign of good things to come. As many of you guys know, Fender gives away, or is currently giving away, 3 months of play for free. So if you're just joining us for the first time, you might not know that there are some special perks to being a Fender Play member. The obvious one is access to a huge library of songs and skill lessons on our set. But if you do decide to join up for a full annual subscription, you get 10% off any gear as well. And another perk that we're about to get to is really cool. You're allowed to qualify for the weekly Fender Play gear giveaway. Dylan, can you tell us more about that? It's not just a pack of strings. We're talking very expensive, lifelong instruments.
Indeed, indeed. Well, every week, a lucky Fender Play subscriber gets to win anything from a guitar to a bass to an amps, all kinds of gear that we're offering, and we're giving away insane. Make sure that you hit your streaks so that you're eligible to get any of those items.
That's right. And so let's talk about those streaks for a second. So to qualify, all you have to do is be a Fender Play subscriber. You don't need to do the annual thing. You just have to be a subscriber. So even if you guys are just jumping on, just as eligible as anybody. And you have to practice 3 times a week for 7 minutes or more each time. That's just over 20 minutes a week for a chance to win a free instrument. So without further ado, Dylan, tell us who this week's gear giveaway winner is.
Yeah, I have to make my own commotion, so let's go. This week's winner is Chris H.
Give it up for Chris H.
Chris, welcome, sir. Yes.
Chris, from afar, we celebrate you, man. Thanks for playing, thanks for practicing, and I hope you share with us what you end up picking from this gear giveaway. Now, for more info on the new giveaway rules, check out the link in the description as well as the post in the community. So let's jump right into the community engagements part of this show. Dylan, what's been going on in the community this week, man?
Yeah, wow. Well, as you know, there's tons of new community members. I mean, tons, and it's really great to see a lot of new faces on there and see the old faces and new faces collaborate and commiserate and talk about their experiences. And I think it's really cool to be able to see a lot of people start out on something for the first time, and use this time in history to be able to just kind of take up guitar, or take up bass, or take up something that they always wanted to do. And that's the kind of stories that you're seeing in the community over and over again. And you're also seeing community members that have existed with Fender Play sort of assist in how they can use the program, whether it be a la carte, pick the things they want, or follow the paths that we've built and utilize the program in a lot of different ways.
That's a great point. You know, I spend quite a bit of time in the Facebook community as an instructor, and especially now, you make a good point I haven't really thought about much. So many of the students are becoming teachers themselves to everybody who's coming. So if you're a new subscriber or you're thinking about subscribing, know that it's the most positive group of users on Facebook in that entire platform. Make it a point to join the Fender Facebook community. Super supportive, and there's so many additional assets. Teachers like myself are coming up with custom technique videos every week just for you guys to try to supplement everything else you're doing in Fender Play. So please take full advantage of access to that right now. So what are some questions and shout outs we've seen in the community this week, man?
Yeah, so a couple of the shout outs that we've had this week, it's been a really great week overall. Two of the individuals that I wanted to mention was a girl named Lely Dive, and then we also have Elaine, who just posted a video of her very first engagement with Fender Play. So her basically learning how to just fret notes and play chords. And both of them, Lily is all the way through rock bass level 5, and she's popping, and I think she's yet to slap, but she's about to start funk level 1. So pretty soon she'll be slapping as well. Yeah. And Elaine is posted her very first video. So you sort of have like the circle of life of that entire situation going on, you know? And I think
that's so cool, man.
It's cool. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and in addition to what you guys are witnessing here, right now we have instructors who are live in the community on Mondays and Wednesdays. Do there and ask all and any questions that you have. Another perk of joining Fender Play is that we are always adding new skills to the site. So there's always something for you to learn. Just check the Just Added tab on the Songs or Skills page. Dylan, I know we've got a big elephant in the room as far as what's new this week, but I'll let you jump right in and enlighten everybody to some of the bigger new things that are coming to the platform.
Yeah, it's just a rollout of a lot of new things that are on this site, and so it's a great time to be a member. And if you're not a member and you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, it's a great time to become a member. Full songs are one of the big things that's rolling. Let's see, so we've got one here. I'll play one. If anybody doesn't know that, it's Reptilia by The Strokes. Let's see, another one is... It's Cherry Bomb by The Runaways. And there's a little known artist that was in that band called Joan Jett. I don't know if anybody's ever, you probably never heard of that person. So just mark that away. The solo's even on there. So if you want to get down and dirty. It goes on and on and on and on. So you're really going to enjoy that one. Let's see.
Yeah, man. I can't emphasize that enough. We put like every little nook and cranny detail.
Every nook. I mean, if somebody coughs during that song, we put it on the lesson.
Make sure it's
one
there,
more.
Yeah.
So we've got. So if you don't know that one, it's Brain Stew by Green Day, which pretty much sums up my entire junior high school career right there.
That's right, man. That was kind of our bona fide rock and roll rite of passage for a long time.
There you go. Yep.
Well, that's a lot to look forward to. Again, guys, this is new as well. So you guys can go into our Facebook community on Mondays and Wednesdays, get all your guitar answers from any questions you guys have all those things answered live at 10 a.m. Pacific time, Mondays and Wednesdays. Just a lot of new things that we're continuing to announce. So continue to tune in here. I want to give a huge thank you to Brandon Walters for stopping by. Dylan, it's always so good having you guys. For those of you who are watching for the first time, we encourage you to join us with this ceremonial G strum as we say, see you guys later for more next week. Be well in the meantime. Take care of yourself and your neighbors. See you guys later. Here comes that G.